400 years of that, what do you think your reaction would be?
You're blaming the problem in the black community on the white attitudes towards the blacks.
Do you, I assume you're a student at some juncture, have you studied American history?
Slightly.
Have you studied slavery?
Yes.
Do you understand if I were to give you a current example of slavery, what I would do with you is if spaceship lands, someone takes you to a planet where there are nothing but green people. They take you away from your mother, your father, all of these institutions. It took at least 3 years to make a slave a slave. For the next 3 years, green people are going to tell you, you're no good, white is a horrible looking color, not having zinc bob wire hair is disgusting. Now, let me ask you this. After 400 years of that, what do you think your reaction would be when you saw a white person, either in the audience or in a magazine? The microphone isn't on.
What I've got from today's discussion is that you're saying your actions are based upon how we react to you.
No, I am asking you, what would your reaction right now be after having been held in captive 400 years by green people? What would you think of being white now, right now? No, that's he speaks for himself. He would?
I'm
okay,
still,
fine.
I'm still white. I'm still
yeah.
white. White is white and black is black.
No, that's not the question, sir. The question is, if you for 400 years had been on the planet Mars with green people...
Being told that white was no good.
Over and over again.
That's what he doesn't
being
get.
White is no good.
That's what he didn't get.
If they had killed you, if you'd stood up and saying being white is all right, if they killed generations of you for standing up and saying being white is all right, I ask you today, what would you think of being white?
Am I supposed to say that I don't like my heritage? You're blaming...
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and a few of you ladies that may be listening. This is Spiritual Art of War, back at it again with another episode. And, this time we're going to continue on the conversation about, pretty much racism and white supremacy. And not only that, its state in the current world that we're in. And, one of the biggest deflection tools of white supremacy is to point the finger at the state of other groups of people, particularly black peoples of the earth. And the centerpiece of that is going to be black Americans, because the biggest media center in the world is, the United States, and they have a scapegoat. They have a political scapegoat that they can point to as a form of dysfunction. And many people that are out there, not only so-called white people, but other groups of people will take light of the plight of black people in general, but particularly in America, because that's where a lot of the discussion is. Yes, they can go and talk about Caribbean, Africa. They can use Haiti. Haiti's like an example that is used in the footnotes or whatever, or they might use a country in Africa that's currently in war, and they'll bring those up, but they always focus on black American people, because in America is viewed as the land of opportunity, and it's viewed as a first world country, even though really America's really not really first world. I don't think people understand, when you go to other countries, there's some countries out there that are actually more advanced than the United States. Unfortunately, this is something that even black Americans who don't travel, so-called black Americans, I'd say so-called for a reason, because that's a designated term that was given to our people here, don't even travel. So a lot of our people here in America, they're very ignorant about the rest of the world. I mean, extremely ignorant. And, I actually gotten quite to the point where if I have people that I'm close to that are friends of mine, or that are like, people that are just, you could say acquaintances in passing, I will allow them to stay in their ignorance in this day and age. Because I might correct them one time, but I know with access to the internet and things like that, I know that they can look up things. So I'm actually at a point where I'm actually allowing people to wallow in their ignorance. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually allowing that. Yeah, if you come across my page and I teach you something and you're able to build from that, cool. But if you don't and you want to be ignorant, I'll let you be ignorant all day. I'll let you be as ignorant as you want to be. Because I believe that every human being has the right to acquire knowledge or remain ignorant. I really believe that. And if you want to be willfully ignorant, I will allow you to be so, because willful ignorance is even more of a choice in anything. Okay? Because people want to be told what they want to hear. So in their mind, if what they want to hear is that racism was done away with, you weren't slaves, get over it, then you can find those places. You can find those places within within your own personal life, and in the world of social media or the internet. There's plenty of those places. There's whole forums. You got, all kinds. You can join the white nationalists, the open ones. You can join the conservatives. You can join the other groups of people that want to play stupid. But I'm going to tell you this. When it comes to racism and white supremacy, when it comes to oppression, everybody that is not in power is going to feel some semblance of that. Okay? This is the reason why when you have these white people that are, the Gen Z or the millennials, because they're the ones that have the voice to complain, Generation Alpha doesn't yet. When you get those white Gen Zs and white millennials that are complaining about the state of the economy, how expensive things are, how expensive housing is, and they end up having to, live in a trailer, okay, or they got to live in their car, or they got to move back in with their parents. They say life is unfair. And then they find people to blame, okay? And they don't, and a lot of times they won't blame the right people. They'll say, oh, it's the reason why it's like this because black people are the ones, they got all the welfare, they're taking everything up the system, they're abusing the system and it's not trickling down to where it needs to be, and yada, 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 or the black people's DEI, they're taking all the jobs, meanwhile, black people make up, anywhere between 13 to 14% of the population, according to the United States Census. So how is it that you're damn near 70% of the population as so-called white Americans, but somehow, some way, a group that's 14% at max, according to your statistics, is able to take the jobs that you desire? Somehow, some way, it's some black man that took your job. You living out in Des Moines, Iowa. You living in freaking Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Okay? And you talking about a black man is taking your job through DEI. Get the heck out of here. Okay? There's not even enough black people in America to take all white people's jobs to begin with. But they'll use that narrative. They will not, and because why? They'd rather punch down than punch up. Because punching up requires them to do something that they don't want to do, which is acknowledge that there's a system of oppression. So instead of acknowledging that system that was thrusted upon so-called black and native people of the Americas and thrusted upon other darker peoples around the world, you go to South Africa, they had apartheid. White people make up less than 10% of the population, own majority of the country's land, okay, control the majority of the country's economy. Instead of to acknowledge some of these systems that were put in place to oppress other people, because you can't do that, because you say it's A-okay, now you can't sit there and come to the realization that these systems come to devour you as well. Okay? And instead of acknowledging that, you would rather punch down. You'd rather deflect. You'd rather play a scapegoat campaign. Okay? This is the reason why that system is now devouring you. Okay? Because, see, the system of white supremacy is actually in its origin a satanic system. And if it's in its origin satanic, right, meaning that Satan is at the helm of it and there's the elites that are running with him in the system, eventually the system turns on its own. You see? This is just the reality. And guess what? Satan doesn't always play favorites with those that he chose to do his bidding. Okay? You see, you have something called the Faustian path. Okay? And white people, so-called white people, not all of them, okay? Because just because you're white doesn't mean you're a descendant of who I call the children of Esau. But most of you are. Take that what you will if you understand. Blessed are ye. Now, there's something called the Faustian path. If you have a group, especially this is called spiritual auto war for a reason. So if you don't believe in the spiritual realm, if you're one of those people that there is no higher power and there is none of that, cool. Okay, then that means whatever evil is coming your way and whatever people that are planning on doing evil to you, then you should, that means that there is going to be no change of course and correction. You will own nothing and be happy, like Charles Schwab said, because you said that's evil that he's saying that. Well, it's that if that's the case, there is no good or evil. Okay? Because there is no moral compass to judge good or evil on. Okay? So now when we're talking about a Faustian pact where someone makes a deal with the devil for power, for fame, for fortune, right? When someone makes that deal with the devil, they're selling their soul. So what happens is at the end, he has to come and collect. Okay? He's going to come and collect, and he's going to have to do away with you, right? And essentially what white collective people don't understand is that eventually you're going to have to come and collect that debt of all the wrongdoing that your people have done. And really, most of y'all are still in support of that wrongdoing. Because in your mind, as long as the evil that's done to others comes back to benefit you, you're okay with the system as the way it is. Until the system requires evil to be done upon you in order to maintain it. Because that's what Satanic systems do. Okay? They will devour others, then they devour their own. And you don't have the power to take down those at the very top, and you know it. You know that they got hitmen all over the world. You know they got people that can come and do smear campaigns on you if you stand up to them. You know that they could even wage a whole war against you because they got paid fighters. Okay? They got mercenaries. Okay? They got mercenaries. Look up Eric Prince. Okay? They got other systems of surveillance. Look up Pelotor. Okay? You know this. This is the reason why you're scared to do that. Okay? That's why you supported a man that you think is the head of state, but he's really nothing more than a puppet to destroy you as well. Yeah, he'll give the rhetoric about immigrants and Hispanics and black people. Okay? He'll make that narrative for you to freaking satisfy your bloodlust. Okay? Of ethnic and racial violence. Yes, he'll do that. But he'll allow you to feel that way and intoxicate you with this myth that he's a messiah for you. But at the end of the day, the system is built to come and devour you and yours. Okay? And you allowed that system to stand up, and you even made excuses for that system, even denied the system when it was working on black and native peoples, when it was working on people throughout what was known as the global south, or what you call even the third world or developing countries. It was okay. It was okay for you to get these resources at a discount rate to satisfy your industrialization, while these other places were left in squalor. It was okay. But you have a problem with it when it comes to you. You have a problem. See, let me tell you something. As a so-called black man in America, those of us that are conscious, we're already aware that we're behind, that, the world is stacked against us. So there's some semblance of like us being able to kind of deal with it, bro. Like come to realization, like, look, this is the way it is, and we got to find a way. But see, for y'all never had to feel that way. So it's hard for you psychologically to understand what it means to survive. Okay? And if you're so-called black in the United States, with all the things that they did to disrupt family structure, to remove the fathers away from the homes, to disenfranchise men from being able to be, breadwinners in their home, to turn the woman against them and their children against them, you were okay with that because it was just happening to black people. Now it's happening to you. It was okay when black people were the crackheads. Now you're the meth heads. Now you're on fentanyl. Okay? Your people are suffering those things. The brokenness of these families. This is the reason why, if you see among so-called white people, especially in this younger Gen Z generation, and this upcoming Gen Alpha generation, there's an increasingly amount of, them that are coming from these broken homes, raised by single mothers, or your mothers that left the fathers. Okay, that's why you got a lot of men that are talking about the dangers of divorce that are so-called white. They talk about the child support issue. You have this guy, so-called white man, I believe he's from Texas. His wife divorced him. They only had a son, and the son is being the mother, his ex-wife, is forcing the son to change gender. And he's trying to go to court to stop him from being introduced to, testosterone blockers and estrogen shots. It's a all-out nightmare. But people forget that original system that allowed that woman to have control over her children comes and stems from the breaking up of families in the slave quarters. Okay, and y'all were okay with that. That's where that energy originally came from. That satanic energy of breaking up homes, that came from your people going and taking kids away in the Indian reservations. Kill the Indian, save the man. All that stuff that y'all were pushing, where you had these schools where these kids were getting abused in every which way. Okay, these Indian schools where y'all removed them and put them around, white pedophiles, men and women, and and also torturers and murderers of your people. You're okay when that stuff was happening. Now they want to create a world where they want to destroy family altogether. Whenever a kid is born, they're going to be put into these indoctrination camps. And they want to have that with white children as well. Which the public school system is already a form of an indoctrination camp. But we're talking about for the New World Order. But you were okay when it was happening to other people. When those people complained about the after effects of that treatment, you did not care. You told them it happened a long time ago. You told them to get over it. You told them that racism didn't exist no more. This is what you said. Now the chickens is coming home to roost. So, to Dow, how you like me now? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you
People
in the
have
next.
every reason to be enraged, and every issue they see, they look up, they get angry, and they see someone doing better than them, and then every day it is speedballed in their face that they are failing. For the first time in our nation's history, a 30-year-old man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. That is the social compact breaking down. People aged 30 to 34, 60% of them in 1990 had one child. Now it's 27%. People are opting out of America. They're not optimistic about it. They're not having kids. Young people are enraged. They see wealth, exceptional wealth across my generation and people in certain industries, and they are really struggling. Their purchasing power is going down, and the incumbents create artificial scarcity on campus. We take pride in rejecting 90% of our applicants. So the incumbents who already have a degree see their degree go up in value. Housing prices have gone from $290 to $420 in the last 4 years. We have lost the script. Our kids are more anxious and more depressed and more obese and more addicted. And we have made a purposeful decision to let this happen by ensuring the people around this table stay wealthy at the cost of young people.